Going a little bit more into mobility, we've done some ankle mobility with a Swiss ball exercise where we wedged a Swiss ball under our leg and actually rolled onto it, stretching around our ankle or our calf, and then stretching out all the tissues, the tendons, etc., in the heel, the Achilles tendon, all that stuff in our ankle. We've worked with some mobility there. We've done some mobility with our camshafts or our shoulders where we're elevating, depressing, or retracting, depressing, protracting, elevating, retracting, depressing, protracting. That 4-segment movement of camshafts, we actually did it on the ground where we're on all fours. So today we're going to go on a little bit between those two, and we're going to talk about our hips. Hips are extremely important. They need to be mobile. They need to be nice and strong as well. We have to support the musculature around them. However, when we start to build up those muscles, whether it's with hip hinge movements like a deadlift or squat movements, we end up breaking down these tissues and making it so that they build up stronger, but they're also more immobile. They're much more tense and rigid. And so one of the ways to get rid of that is with mobility work. And so the exercise we're going to do today is somewhat derived from yoga. If you've ever done yoga in the pigeon pose, this is going to be a great exercise for you. And so I'm going to ask that you do take your shoes off for this one so that you're able to articulate your feet and your ankles. But what we're going to do is we're going to take one leg with a bench. It can be a chair, it can be a small table, it can be a couch. This is really great at home as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to place one leg on the bench. We're going to have one leg behind, and so it looks like a big exaggerated lunge. It's literally the exaggerated pigeon or an elevated pigeon stretch. And so you can see that this leg is up, this leg is back. I'm trying to straighten this leg. It's imperative that you straighten this back leg. It's going to stretch that hip flexor. The hip flexors are these muscles and tendons on the front of our thighs right here. It's imperative that we keep that back leg straight. And what we're going to do is very carefully, we're going to put both hands here and we're going to lean down to the side. All right? So some of us may not be able to reach this position. What we want is we want this back leg to go straight back. We want our hips to be forward. We want our back leg straight. We want our hips forward. We want our chest up. That's extremely important. Some of y'all may be stuck up here, and that's a-okay. You're going to slowly work down where you're getting down as low as possible. And so just kind of moving through this range of motion, one of the really great things about this is you can go from side to side as well. You can go front to back. You can go to the right. You can lean into the stretch, really get that hip capsule. Everything in here is being stretched to the maximum here. And then by keeping this back leg straight, my chest up and leaning over, I'm also keeping everything on this side of my body stretched out. So to show you what it is from the other side, we're going to slowly, we're going to slowly go into this exaggerated lunge or pigeon stretch, keeping this back leg straight, both hands planted, and then lean and lay this leg down. Lay that knee down, keeping this back leg straight, keeping your chest up, keeping your hips forward. And we're not turning to the side here, we're not turning out this way with our hips. When our hips stay forward, we're going to lean down and come in here. It's very important that we always breathe. If you want to really push on this inside or the stretched hip, we can bend that back leg and put it on the ground. If you're comfortable with that, then what you can do is you can lean forward. If you're going to really push to the limit, you can lean kind of like this, all right? And just kind of move around in here. One of the awesome things is you can also do a nice hamstring stretch out of this by posting your leg up like this and stretching that leg right here. And so really just going in and out of this stretch and then pushing this leg down, kind of wiggling around in this bottom position here and bringing this leg up. It's going to do a lot to really open up the musculature of our hips. It's going to break down, some of those adhesions we have, some of those deep bunches of muscles, like muscle knots. We get a lot of them in our back. We also get them in our hips. So if you're very, very stiff in your hips, it's very hard for you to squat down or even stand up when you're sitting for a long time. This can very much benefit you if you have a lot of hip pain. Another great way to do it, or great reason to do it. And what this will help us do, by stretching out these tissues here, we can more easily squat down in this position very, very comfortably and not be too hindered by it. All right, so that's our hip mobility exercise. A quick recap, we have our elevated pigeon stretch or elevated lunge stretch. We have our camshaft where we're lifting, we're elevating, retracting, depressing, protracting, and over again for our shoulder mobility. And then we have our Swiss ball ankle mobility, where we put a Swiss ball under our leg and we kind of collapse our body weight onto that Swiss ball. It'll kind of warp around our calf and make a nice stretch there. So some awesome mobility exercises. Just a couple of the vast array of mobility exercises we have. Of course, we're going to be expanding on as we move along.